Open any South Asian community newspaper, and chances are you're going to see an ad, frequently, by the way, taken out by parents, describing their son or daughter as an innocent divorcee looking for a new partner. While many South Asians are still tradition-bound and trying to make the marriage work, getting a divorce doesn't carry the same social stigma it did a decade ago. However, finding a mate after a divorce remains a challenge. But tonight, a new event geared specifically toward divorced South Asians is launching in Toronto. Organizers are calling the event Encore, and they're already setting another date because tonight is sold out. Salima Varani is one of the event organizers, and she's with me in studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Do I presume you innocent until found guilty? I want to know about this innocence thing in these ads. Why is it? What's the code here? What are these parents who are trying to hook their kids up with a new mate talking about?
I think with the social stigma that's attached with being divorced, parents are trying to project some sort of a guilt-free environment where, our child was divorced, but it wasn't really a compatible match, or perhaps the partner wasn't right, so they're trying to distance themselves from the actual act of divorce by saying, well, it wasn't really our fault.
Yeah. And it wasn't really our daughter or our son's fault, because if they are innocent, it means they're not guilty of, what would the assumptions be, I guess, in a South Asian culture about a divorce in the past? If someone was getting divorced, it probably wouldn't have been compatibility issues. It would have been something nastier.
Oh, no, absolutely not. Well, speaking from my own experience, when I separated about 6 years ago, and I mentioned to my parents that my partner and I were parting company, my mom had a laundry list of 5 things to ask me, and they were, does he hit you, or is he having an affair, or is he gambling, or and when I said no to every one of those, and she says, well, then what's the problem?
Exactly.
And I said, well, we're just not happy, and she said, well, what's that got to do with anything?
Which is fascinating all by itself.
Yeah, it is.
Would you call that a particular cultural expert? You come originally, your family from India, yes?
That's right. I was born and raised in India.
So the assumption was, and particularly in the case of arranged marriages, that there would have been compatibilities that would have been important, but that would not necessarily have included mutual happiness in a marriage?
Well, happiness is a very relative term when it comes to the South Asian. If you're well taken care of, if you've got your RRSPs, if your kids are in good schools, then, by most social standards, you're happy. And so interests or pursuing your particular life goals with your partner, those kinds of issues are not necessarily high up on the agenda.
So one ends one's marriage, and then one enters the dating game.
Yes.
And what specific or particular challenges go with being a South Asian embarking on that particular enterprise?
Well, like you referenced earlier, first of all, there is the combating of the whole taboo associated with being divorced or a single parent in the South Asian society. It's not so accepted as it is in mainstream Canadian societies or North American societies, for that matter, and one tends to see themselves as a failure, as opposed to seeing the marriage as a failure, or saying that, two good people could have a bad marriage. You're more attached with the idea of somehow it was my fault, or I did not do it right. Mm-hmm. So overcoming that particular obstacle itself is a big challenge.
When you told your mom that you were going to begin dating again, what did she say to you?
She said, white people do that.
White people do that? and what do unwhite people do? Just spend the rest of their lives alone?
No, we just stay married while we can, and
or allow your parents to fix you up all over again.
Or you try and hook yourself up through community resources or well-meaning people in the community.
We mentioned in the intro parents taking out these ads on behalf of their innocent divorcee daughter or son, as the case may be. Is that still going on?
Not so much anymore, thank goodness for that, because I think with the advent of the internet and globalization and just a lot of multinationals, even the structure in India is rapidly changing, and parents are now coming to acknowledge that there's a lot of compatibility issues in two people coming together and living a life together. And the younger people, the current generation, is more happy or willing to walk away from a marriage in pursuit of their personal happiness, and they're okay to project themselves as single parents or divorced without the associated stigma so much now.
Your event is sold out tonight.
Yes, it is.
And will it only be attended by people who are South Asian?
That's right. It's only South Asian.
Well, why assume that that's the key to compatibility? Maybe what you really need, young woman, is someone who isn't.
We're taking baby steps here, so this is the first step. Just getting South Asian people.
Because this is such an important issue. I could bring it up, by the way. It's not only a South Asian issue, but it's true of many traditional cultures. A lot of the women, you're a lawyer, yes?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you're a very accomplished professional. Frequently, women who come from these cultures who are achievers themselves don't want to marry men who are going to be challenged by that achievement or expect the woman in their marriages to basically be interested in looking after them. So maybe the compatibility issue is that you shouldn't be looking for a South Asian. Do you know what I mean? I've heard this before from other cultures.
No, I agree with you. And, I have personally dated outside my race. But the event tonight is definitely geared for South Asians as an avenue to just help them connect with other South Asians. Because although it is not so much of a taboo anymore, it's still a very cloaked society. And we're trying to create a platform where, they might not go away with dates tonight, but at least they'll meet other South Asian single parents and other divorcees and hopefully build some friendships.
How old's your child?
She's 11.
Any advice from her about tonight?
Well, no, she just said,
go for it,
have
Mom.
Have fun, Mom, yeah.
You go, girl.
That's right.
Woman, excuse me. Congratulations. Good luck with it.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Salima Varani is one of the organizers of Encore, a dating event aimed at divorced South Asians that's launching tonight. Their first event is almost sold out, but for information on future dates, check out MyBindi.com. You know how to spell Bindi. If you need this organization, you know how to spell Bindi. MyBindi.com. And here's George.